Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. As you all can tell from the title of my video, today we're going to have another small fragrance haul by the House of Pana Dora. As some of you guys might know, I'm a big fan of House of Pana Dora and their unique fragrances, and I'm very excited today to do the first impression and unboxing of the new releases, which the first one is going to be Patchouli Dust, which I'm very excited to find out how the patchouli is done in here. And the second one is going to be Oud Republic, which, as you all know, I'm a big fan of oud fragrances. And the third one is an older release, which I never got the chance to go over, which it's called Oud Republic. I hope I said that right, which the box is a little bit shorter than the other ones, which is kind of weird. And then finally, we got Velvet Iris, which I kind of cheated and kind of sampled this long time ago, which I fell in love with this one. So let's unbox these and see what we got. All right, so let's unbox Patchouli Dust and see what we got. There's that infamous, beautiful bottle. Their bottles are just gorgeous. All right, so let's spray this and see what it smells like. Yeah, this thing right here, it's definitely a beauty. God, that patchouli is done so well. It's so dusty. Oh, it's so inviting. It's so sensual, but yet it's very complex. It's very sophisticated. And there's almost this gourmandish facet to it. Not too much, just a little to get your attention. And I think that's what you get with Pana Dora fragrances. And I think that's a great formula to get the attention of the customer, especially when they go inside the store and they spray the fragrance for the first time. You want to get their attention right away with the initial spray. And I think that's a great formula when it comes to creating fragrances. And that's what you get here. Right away, it does have that mass-pleasing vibe to it, but you can tell that it's not a linear type of a scent. It's very sophisticated, complex type of fragrance, but yet it's very mass-pleasing to a point where a lot of people end up liking this. Now, what's so interesting is that strong presence of patchouli. Obviously, the name suggests patchouli dust. So I believe that the patchouli in here is used in the top note instead of in the base note. And I think that's what it makes the fragrance so unusual for its structure. And makes it very interesting because right away when you spray it, you can smell the patchouli, that sweet, musky earthiness. You can definitely smell that. And it's a very high quality type of patchouli. But what I also get on the opening, I believe that there's some hints of rose in here that adds some really lemony sweetness, kind of floral vibe to this scent, but nothing that you can cherry pick. So it's not in a way that you're like, oh, if it's a rose fragrance, I don't like it. It's not like that at all. It just creates a facet to the scent that complements the patchouli really nicely. But to an average nose, when they smell it, they're not gonna think that there's some rose in here. Also, what I get some saffron in here, which the saffron definitely complements the patchouli, which definitely adds to that dustiness and spiciness of the fragrance. It's a very dusty type of patchouli, which I love. And I think there must be some cardamom in here as well, because of that dustiness is so accentuated in here, which I believe that there has to be some cardamom in the top note as well. As I mentioned earlier, this is a very unique approach of using the patchouli in the top note because, as I mentioned, typically it's used in the base notes and shows up later in the fragrance. So that's why it makes this fragrance very interesting and it sets it apart from other perfumes on the market that are patchouli fragrances. Now, this is a complex, earthy fragrance with a nice amber body to it that is accentuated by saffron. As I mentioned, you can definitely smell the saffron on the opening. And I believe that's why he calls it patchouli dust, because the saffron and the cardamom definitely add to the dustiness of this fragrance. There's some smokiness in here. It's very beautiful. But what I read about this fragrance when I was looking at the description of it is that Mr. Al-Zuabi, he said that this kind of encapsulates the feeling of, or the scent of the rain hitting dry soil in a cold countryside mixed with an earthy and smoky aroma of burning wood. I don't really get that. I mean, I get the smokiness, but I don't get a dampness in here. I don't get any of that notes or the soil. I get the woody notes in here, but it is actually a very pleasant note because I think what he described, when you describe that to someone, they wouldn't see that as a fragrance. They see that more as a bottled emotion. But this is a fragrance that you can wear. And to me, it doesn't give me that feeling of being inside a countryside where the rain hits the soil or anything like that. It just has a very beautiful patchouli that's very dusty, almost has like a leathery and smoky vibe to it. But I don't get any dampness or any rainy kind of a smell in this. Yeah, I definitely get some oud in here as well. I think that's what it adds to the smokiness of patchouli dust. But it's more woody and smoky type of an oud than being skanky, and it's very well tamed. It's nothing crazy. It's a great oud. Very well done. All right, so to wrap this up, all in all, what you get with patchouli dust, it's obviously a patchouli type of fragrance, so you get a big dose of patchouli right away on the initial spray. You get this beautiful amber body to it. It's sweet, it's dusty, it's warm, spicy, it's woody, it's kind of vanillic, it's balsamic. You get definitely some hints of smokiness, leather nuances to it, and you get a little bit of oud, which it's what adds to that smokiness of the scent. But again, I don't want you to think that the oud is very strong because the oud is extremely mild and it's very well tamed. All right, so next one is going to be Oud Republic. Let's open this and see what it smells like. There you have it. Very beautiful. Let's spray it and see what we get. Oh, wow. This is not what I expected. It's so beautiful and it's so different. You see, that's why I love Pana Dora, because they're so unique. God, so good. So I have to tell you, this is not a skanky type of a oud. God, it's so well tamed. It's a fresh take on oud. It's completely different. I'm blown away. I was not expecting this. This one right here will do really well. A lot of people are going to love this. If you are not a big fan of oud, or if you are trying to get into oud fragrances, I definitely suggest you to check this out. It's a beauty. So again, as I mentioned with Patchouli Dust, right away, the opening is gorgeous. This one is also sweet, but there's this metallic note to it, like this freshness to it, fresh spiciness to it. But it's sensual, it's very inviting, it's very mass-pleasing, nothing skanky, but it almost has that feel of oud for greatness. So the oud is like that. The oud is like that type of a oud. It's very clean. So it's nothing skanky. But God, it's so beautiful. It's so sweet. It's fruity. It's so pleasing. Like I'm just blown away. I'm trying to like register what I'm smelling here because it's so different than what I thought it's going to smell. God, this is morphing very quickly, but I feel like it has this calming effect to it. And I think, like as I mentioned, it's a fresh take on oud. As I said, it kind of reminds me of the vibe of Oud for Greatness, but it's nothing like Oud for Greatness, but the oud is tamed that way. But it's so beautiful. And I think that calmness that I get must be coming from a big dose of lavender. Also, on the opening, I get this very spicy, sweet, woody, aromatic, and floral type of an opening from this, which must be definitely coming from some kind of floral, indolic floral, like jasmine. I definitely smell some jasmine in here. There has to be some rose in here as well. And I also get a little bit of this dusty, leathery, spicy, velvety kind of facet in here, which must be coming from saffron, which I think a lot of people are going to fall in love with it. So as I mentioned, this is morphing quite a bit. And now I'm getting this green medicinal herbaceous slightly spicy note, which must be coming from thyme if I'm not mistaken. So even though it's a fresh spicy type of a oud, it's also warm spicy at the same time, which is a fantastic formula for a signature scent. So I think you can definitely wear this all seasons around. And again, I'm just blown away by it because I was not expecting to get such a beautiful, tamed, mass-pleasing, gorgeous, sensual type of a oud. I was thinking that I'm going to get some kind of a very skanky kind of a oud. So it's very refreshing to get such a beautiful oud fragrance that I believe everyone would really fall in love with this. It's very smoldering, it's very beautiful, it's very sexy. So I think a lot of people are going to like this. I also get this sweet, balsamic, aromatic, spicy nuances, which is accompanied with this tenacious, woody, earthy, aromatic nuances, which must be coming from fir and cypress. There's definitely some fir and cypress going on in here alongside with lavender because it does have that relaxing kind of a vibe to the scent that calms you down, which I really love. I also get this metallic vibe from this scent. Kind of like the metallic vibe that you get from Pegasus or Oud for Greatness, kind of like that. And I think it's the mixture of these spicy notes and lavender mixed with these warm, woody and oud notes in here that creates that. But it's just such an interesting scent. So as I mentioned, the notes that are in here like saffron, cardamom, vanilla, I believe, and the amber accord, definitely some lavender, and the oud. And I don't know what kind of a oud it is because it's very clean, very well tamed, and definitely some floral, like white floral, like jasmine and rose going on in here as well, which create a warm, luxurious, and exotic oriental type of a scent with an aromatic, fresh, and warm spicy with sweet and woody character to it, which makes it just so likable. So again, this is not what I was expecting from Oud Republic. I thought it's going to be very animalic type of an oud, but I was blown away by just the way it was done, completely outside the box and very mass-pleasing, yet very complex. It morphs a lot and it has a lot of personality to it, and it definitely can be a signature scent, and I think a lot of people are going to fall in love with this. All right, so next one we have Krop Ochal, which means body and soul, if I didn't mispronounce it, which is a beauty from the House of Pana Dora. I heard a lot of good things about this one. It's an older release, which I didn't get a chance to do it in my previous video when I did the unboxing of 6 of the fragrances. So I'm going to do it in this video. So let's open this and see what we get. Phenomenal. And there is the fragrance, Krop Ochal. I hope I'm saying this right. All right, let's spray this and see what we got. Wow, this is so sexy, you guys. It smells kind of familiar as well, but God, it's so beautiful. What is this? What fragrance does it remind me on? It actually reminds me of a bunch of fragrances mixed together. Okay, so This feels like a beautiful marriage between Coromandel and Baccarat Rouge 540 with strong hints of musky iris vanilla. All this stuff that I like in one fragrance. It's so well done. But wait a minute. I feel like it's morphing already. Jesus. Mr. Al-Zoabi is full of surprises. Wow. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to love this, but it's definitely morphing. That Baccarat Rouge 540 feel, it's kind of fading away. And it's becoming very musky. But it's not that skanky musk from Grand Musk that I love. It's actually very clean, synthetic white kind of a musk in here. I can definitely smell the iris. I can definitely smell some almonds. I can smell some saffron in here. It's just a beauty. It's sweet, but yet it's kind of fresh, kind of medicinal. God, it's gorgeous, you guys. Very well done. Wow. As I mentioned at the opening, you're welcome with this gorgeous blend of saffron and I believe some almond because of the Baccarat Rouge 540 feel. I believe there's some almond, I'm not sure. And I think there's some cardamom in here as well. But also what I forgot to say, because it's morphing so quickly, I'm having a hard time to register all of it at once. But I think there's some citrus notes in the opening as well. There's some citrus bitterness in the opening, which I believe it's from blood orange and some bergamot. There's also some zingy, fizzy, warm, fresh, spicy kind of a note, which I think it's from ginger that's creating that, if I'm not mistaken. But God, it's such a complex scent because it's already morphing, and that Baccarat Rouge 540 feel, it's kind of fading away. Even though it's keeping that medicinal vibe to it, but it's definitely fading away. It's becoming kind of sweeter. Very interesting. Even though it has these fresh notes on the opening, but it feels more like a warm, spicy, calming, and cozy type of a scent. Almost like a warm cashmere wool sweater, if you will. So, like I said, it is an interesting fragrance because it opens up kind of fresh, spicy, but it feels kind of warm, spicy as it starts getting to the heart of the scent. So it is definitely very woody and sweet as well. So it is very sensual and hugging type of a scent. It's easy to like and please. And I have to say, there's a nice big dose of patchouli in here as well, which gives it an earthy, sweet, and musky feel to the scent. All right, so the strong, clean musk that I was talking about has this iris tonality to it, but the iris is very interesting in here because it has a fresh, sweet, white floral with honey and pollen nuances to it, or I should say, very creamy type of an iris with a faint medicinal or animalic undertone, if you will, which must be the floral notes and amber accord that are affecting the iris in such a unique and delicious way. So as I mentioned, it's morphing quite a lot, and it's fading away from that Baccarat Rouge 540 feel, and it's becoming sweeter, as I mentioned, and the iris is becoming more prominent. But there's also something really interesting happening. I get this chocolatey nuances in here, which is very delicious. It's literally to die for. It's very beautiful. I was not expecting this. But I also have to say that the iris feels more like an orris root instead of a floral airy iris, which also makes this fragrance powdery. Also, the patchouli, vanilla, amber accord in here do magic with this chocolatey effect. So yes, it is a delicious, woody, somewhat gourmandish scent that is very musky. So the chocolate that I was talking about, it feels more like a white chocolate than a dark chocolate because it's not as animalic as I thought. It's more medicinal. I definitely get some leather or kind of like a velvet texture or suede-like texture, which I don't know if there's like an actual leather note in here or there's some saffron in here, but I definitely get some leather in here as well, which by the way blends with that amber accord so beautifully. And it's definitely that muskiness is going on very strong. So all in all, what you get with this fragrance, it's warm, spicy, it's woody, it's sweet. You definitely have a big dose of patchouli going on in here, and because of that, it's earthy. On the opening, you do have some citrusy nuances going on that's kind of bitter, kind of fizzy and zesty, but yet kind of sweet. You definitely get leathery, suede-like or velvety texture to the scent because of some leather now or some saffron. It's definitely very powdery. It's chocolatey, it's vanillic, it's very aromatic, and it's very musky. All right, so next and last, we have Velvet Iris, which completes the whole collection of Pana Dora House. Now, this one I've been very excited for, and I have to say that I kind of cheated, and I have smelled a sample of this, which it blew me away. It is just a masterpiece that Mr. Al-Zuabi created. Let's open this and kind of see what it smells like. There it is. Let's spray this and see what we get. All right, so I'm not going to react to this because it's going to be kind of cheating because I already smelled a sample of this and I fell in love with this one. This one is my favorite one. As you all know, I love iris fragrances, and this one right here is a masterpiece created by Mr. Al-Zuabi. So this is just a completely different type of an iris. I never smelled anything like this before, and it's done so outside the box. And what makes this so appealing to me, it's the fact that it is vintage, but yet it's also modern at the same time. So that kind of makes it very unique and also kind of gives me the best of the both worlds. It does have a primal raw vibe to it, but at the same time it does have this modern deliciousness to it. There's something so delicious about it, which again, Pana Dora fragrances are really famous for that. They have something that makes them very mass-pleasing and makes it kind of delicious. But you cannot really say it's a complete gourmand fragrance because it's so well done. It's very sophisticated, complex, and kind of vintage at the same time. Velvet Iris smells very majestic, noble, and imperial, at least to me. So yes, it does smell vintage, but in a modern way. Velvet Iris is all about vetiver, iris, and dark chocolate. So the dark chocolate that creates that modern, gourmandish twist to the fragrance. At the same time, it creates this slight animalic or vintage facet to Velvet Iris, which works really well. So you can definitely smell some aromatic, green, cooling freshness on the opening, which must be mint at play or juniper, with some citrus that have bitterness to them. This is a very woody scent that is definitely powdery. God, the iris is so gorgeous. And let's talk about the iris. The iris is very present in here, but instead of milky, it is a sharp pink type of iris. It feels like the iris is mingling with some type of a berry, fruit like raspberry, and also some white musk to give it that sharp pinkish kind of a facet. There's also a sweet and fresh aquatic fruity note to iris, which must be coming from pear. So as the fragrance is opening up, there's also an earthy, somewhat leathery / smoky and slightly sweet aroma with a hint of bitterness at play here, which is definitely a big dose of vetiver, which mingles with woody, warm, and slightly spicy scent with hint of sweetness of cedar. Again, as we get to the dry down, that leathery nuances, they come forward, which I should probably say it's more of a velvety texture, which highlights the iris very nicely. And I believe that velvety texture is achieved with chocolate, vetiver, sandalwood, amber, and vanilla. So on the dry down, that velvety texture, it definitely makes the iris shine the most. And it gives the iris that noble, imperial kind of a facet to it. All right, so all in all, what you get with Velvet Iris, it is a woody and powdery type of a scent with a big dose of iris, which is done in a very unique way. It is definitely sweet, it's aromatic, it's fruity, it's somewhat fresh and green, it's definitely chocolatey, it's warm, spicy, and it's definitely earthy and velvety. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we get to the end of my video. That's all I have for the whole entire collection of Pana Dora House, including their latest releases, Patchouli Dust and Oud Imperial. I would definitely suggest you guys to get samples and check out some other fragrances because there are some phenomenal fragrances among their collection. And that's it, you guys. That's all I have. Thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon with another video. Bye.